it's me, Vicki Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. Anyway, I wanted to just give you a little update about Phoebe Bishop. As you know, this 17-year-old girl went missing, was supposed to be going to the airport to catch a flight in Australia to visit her boyfriend. She never got on that flight. Then it transpired that there was actually no CCTV of her actually entering the airport. And Phoebe, for some unknown reason, lived with two sort of over 30-year-old couple, or they're over 30. So it's a strange combination because Phoebe's only 17. For whatever reason, she'd moved out of her home, that she'd lived in with her mother, and moved in with this couple. Not really. We don't know the clear picture yet what the relationship was between Phoebe and this couple, although the female in the couple, Tanika, she works apparently for Phoebe's mum, or they work together, or so all the actual details of the full details are sort of coming out, aren't they? They're just emerging. But what we do know now is that, very sadly, Phoebe's remains were found in a national park not far from the airport where she was supposedly catching her flight. CCTV had caught the car going to the airport, which apparently Phoebe was in, but whether she was alive at that point is another matter. And then with a clever sort of combination of detective work, data, phone data, etc., finally, after being arrested already a couple of times, the couple that Phoebe was staying with, James Woods, I think his name is, and Tanika, I'm not sure of her surname. They've been arrested and charged now, finally, with homicide, with murder, the murder of Phoebe. And then after that, Phoebe's remains were finally found in this national park near to the airport. So I just wanted to update you. I mean, that's what we knew anyway. I did a video about that, but I've been watching some news items, etc. And I think that I found a couple of news items that you will find interesting, that throw a little bit more light maybe on the people that are accused of killing Phoebe, though I don't think we still really know, that it's clear what their relationship was. Why was she at this and it was a horrible house, because apparently the house, it was squalid, it was, there were dead dogs on the property, it's a horrible place, and we're going to see that. So, okay, let's have a look at the first news item. Let's see. Now which one am I going to do first? I'll do this one first. This is 7 News Australia. And this is a news item just after her remains had been found. So let's see what they've got to say and what new insights maybe it gives us into this case. So you can see where Phoebe was dumped. It's horrible, isn't it? Just a young girl, 17 years old, just dumped like a piece of rubbish. It's lucky that she's been found, really. But I think, as I say, I think it's phone data that's led the police there. This couple, they are thickos who think they're cleverer than the police. In the last video that I showed you, it showed how they'd actually painted their car registration number to try and make it look like different numbers, but it's as obvious as anything that it's been painted. Just thickos trying to pretend they're intelligent. But, I get very bad vibes off this too. You think, have they done things like this before? Have other young girls? The thing is, Phoebe was a vulnerable young girl, 17 years old, and this couple are over 30. Have they, is there any other young girls that maybe have become victims to this couple? Maybe not to the extreme of murder, but just makes you wonder, doesn't it? Don't normally start doing things like that. Or maybe they just thought it was Christmas when Phoebe landed on their doorstep. Young, attractive girl like that. They give me sort of, they definitely remind me of Fred West and Rose West. You know, that like a couple, for a couple to get involved. There's few couples get involved in murdering young people or anybody, you know, in the sense of it's not like a family motivated or money, or it may be money motivated. The police say they do suspect a motive, but they haven't said what it is. It's rare for couples to be involved like that. You know, you've got like your Fred and Rose West, you've got Myra Hindley and Ian Brady. Then there was, of course, oh gosh, what's his name? The Ken and Barbie killers over there in Canada. The Carla Hamolka, I think her name is, and I can't remember his name again. It's good that I can't remember their names because sometimes you can remember the perpetrator's name more than the victims' names. You know, it's rare though. It's very rare. So with this couple, the thing is, they were definitely complicit in maybe, you know, you never like to think that a woman would kill a young girl like that. You don't like to think a man would do it, but you know, it's like that double deviance, isn't it? It's deviant to kill someone, but then it's double deviant for a woman to kill someone. It's just not what we expect in society. But of course, they do. You know, it's a big shock to me that, because I don't like to think of women especially killing vulnerable people like that. Just seems against everything that I certainly stand for.
Among 6,700 hectares of remote and rugged bushland, a dreadful discovery against the odds. In the Goodnight Scrub National Park, police find human remains believed to be those of Phoebe Bishop.
So you can tell just looking at this, is a miracle that they found this girl. You know, it's so good what they can do these days with data and, you know, all the different things that the police use. I think they call it geo-profiling, don't they, or something? But, you know, that poor girl, how many other people, though, you know, you think over years before we had all this, there's probably loads, you know, it's put me off. You know, I love the woods and that, but you just think, God, how many people have been dumped in the woods and not found because they've been dumped there before we had all this?
We always wanted to bring Phoebe home, and we believe that this is the first step in that process.
Phoebe vanished on her way to catch a flight from Bundaberg Airport on May 15. Her housemates Tanika Bromley and James Wood are accused of murdering her and moving her body twice. It was phone data that led police here and a cadaver dog which made the find. The body wasn't buried, instead.
So they're saying it was phone data that led them there, because they had the couple had already been arrested. We were speculating a little bit that maybe one of them had turned on the other one and done the right thing and said where Phoebe was. But it seems that it was data and then a cadaver dog. Oh, do you know what? What would we do without dogs? Dogs, we don't deserve dogs. They spend, you know, they help us, don't they? Just in debt, not only, you know, obviously service dogs, just in general, how lovely dogs are and what an asset they are to humans. And a lot of humans don't treat them properly, do they? Makes me livid that. But yeah, here we go. It's a dog again. Finding her.
They're dumped among thick scrub near a trail deep in the mountain range. Police won't say what injuries Phoebe suffered and don't yet know how she was killed.
It's a difficult, complex scene.
The breakthrough was made 9 kilometres from the area originally searched. Investigators hope it'll bring closure for Phoebe's family and a shattered community. Police have conceded it was never a certainty they'd find Phoebe in this exact spot. But with clever detective work and luck on their side, their grim mission looks to have paid off.
Yeah, it is a combination, isn't it? That luck comes into it as well. Because the thing is, when you have phone data, it can give you an approximate area, but you know, it doesn't give, you know, it's not X marks the spot, oh, there's the body, you know, it just says, oh, somewhere in this area the phone pinged, or the phone was resting for quite a long time, or the car stopped here. So then they have to they could literally walk past a body, especially in terrain like that where it can be covered over by all sorts of things. So, it is a mixture of good detective work, the dog, of course, but and luck always comes into it. They always need that little bit of luck as well. So, anyway, they found her, and obviously there'll be things going on with Phoebe at the moment, but eventually, at least her mum knows, her family know, they will be able to bring her back home and give her the sort of peaceful burial or what that she deserves. I think there's a vigil today, not a vigil, like a memorial service, because they don't have Phoebe's body yet. It'll be a little while probably before they do, but they're having, like, maybe you would call it a vigil, but a celebration of Phoebe's life, just a note of respect today. Well, it may have already happened now because it is Australia, of course.
Phoebe's mum, I didn't think my heart could break any more than it did when you went missing or when the charges were laid. But this is ripping me apart. Today, neighbours, friends and strangers dropped bouquets and bears to the Gin home Phoebe once shared with the accused killers.
I met her once or twice with my son. They went to school together.
Glad that she has been found so she can be laid at rest, at peace.
The landlord's also returning for the first time to see...
I mean, look at the state of this place where they were living. So apparently the lease was in the name of Tanika, and she paid regular on time. Now, something to know, actually, that, I suppose for a landlord or a landlady, what's important is the rent is paid on time, but it just shows the importance of regular inspections as well, because, the state of this place, and they were unaware, because they were probably thinking Tanika's, she was paying on time, and they probably thought she was a respectable person, and they didn't go and visit the place. You really, as a landlord or landlady, you should do regular inspections, because I'll tell you, someone else who always paid his rent on time, and it was Jeffrey Dahmer, and look, he had bodies all over his flat, but he never gave the people who rented that place to him any cause for concern, because his rent was paid spot on, bang on time, if not early, every month. And so I suppose for, at the end of the day, for a lot of people who own property and rent it out, it's an investment, isn't it? What they're concerned about is the rent is paid. But, inspections are important, aren't they? And of course, this is something that's happened. There's been a big fuss about it in the UK. Maybe it's the same everywhere. I think it is in Spain as well. I know a lot of crime barons, if you like, or baronesses, are renting places to grow marijuana. And again, so what the government are saying to landlords and landladies is make sure you do regular inspections, because they pay their rent on time as well. They've got plenty of money from the marijuana they're growing in the rented accommodation. So they rent the accommodation, they have somebody going there to tend to the plants, that's called the gardener. And it's only really when, if and people don't know, surrounding neighbours, it might be a lovely neighbourhood, they just don't know. And, they were saying about the signs to look out for. If the lights are on all day and all night, so, because also the other thing that these people that grow marijuana in rented properties do is they bypass the electric, so they're not paying the electricity. They sort of bypass it and link it up and connect it in an illegal way. So they're getting free electricity, because growing marijuana demands a lot of heat and a lot of light and, whatever. So yes, if you're a landlord or a landlady, my advice to you would be do regular inspections. I mean, you can organise. I don't know. You have to look into the laws. I mean, you can't just turn up at someone's house and say you're going to inspect it. You know, there are laws like to protect the tenants as well, because as a tenant, you wouldn't want someone, the landlord, just turning up. You know, maybe you've just rolled out of bed on the Sunday with a banging hangover and your house is a mess. But it won't be a mess like this one. But do you know what I mean? So what I'm not saying, turn up at people's houses unexpectedly and then harass them to view the property, but arranging maybe a monthly or even 2 monthly, even 6 monthly, but really some sort of plan that you agree with the tenant that on such and such a day each month or each 2 months or whatever it is, whatever agreement you come to, you can go and view the property. Because even if somebody's paying their rent spot on time every month, doesn't mean that say they're not a serial killer or a killer. And there was dead dogs in this house, in the garden, buried, and that the twonk who's been arrested, he's saying there were puppies who died naturally, but who knows? You know, I think this might turn into being a really horrible, I mean, it is a horrible case already, but I think it could get worse before it gets better, put it that way.
And smell for themselves the squalor and stench left behind by Bromley and Wood.
We started our family here and put work into the house, and it's sad to see it like it is.
He had no idea about the state of the property until the house hit the headlines.
What you see outside is what you see inside. An accumulation of junk and rubbish. No maintenance, no care.
Revealing the rental was in Bromley's name and she had never missed a payment until the house became a crime scene. Now he's determined to clean it up and get it back on the market.
It's just got to all get cleaned up.
Now, as I've said before, I'm not exactly housewife of the year, but I could not live in that. I just couldn't. And the smell, I mean, how do people, I've been in people's houses where they literally do stink. And I just think, how can they not notice that smell? I mean, we've got 3 dogs, so I have to keep this out. I've been cleaning this morning, actually, because now there's sort of big heats coming. I've had to clean the air conditioner, the air conditioning unit, sort of make sure it's working properly, etc. And I'll be probably doing quite a lot of cleaning today. Do those kind of things, because once the heat really hits it, that's the last thing you feel like doing. So you try and do a deep clean before it hits. But anyway, I couldn't look. I mean, that hasn't happened overnight, has it? That's an accumulation. And they just don't care. They're living in it. They're living in it and eating there. How are they doing it?
It's got to be made livable again. The house isn't the reason this has all happened.
Tonight, just sheer relief that Phoebe's family might finally be able to lay her to rest and respect for the investigators who've made it happen.
They've been putting their heart and soul into this, so to hopefully bring this home for Phoebe's family and her mum, it's given them a great deal of pride.
Police say it's likely to still be a few days yet before they can formally confirm the remains as Phoebe's. There's still forensic testing to be done and examinations to be carried out at the site of the discovery. Tomorrow there'll be a vigil held for the 17-year-old in Gin Gin, with those attending asked to wear bright colours and butterfly wings. Sam?
Michael Hammond in Bundaberg, thank you.
Okay. So that's one video I wanted to show you that gives us a little bit more information about everything. And now we're going to look at another news video. Now, I think in the beginning of this video, this is a current affair, another Australian programme. I'll go back to the beginning.
Was the hope Phoebe Bishop's family had been holding on to. But that's now crushed. The teenager's flatmates have been charged with her murder, and tonight human remains have been found in the search for her body. There are still burning questions. What happened and why? Her loved ones want them answered.
This is actually real life people I know now have murder charges against them. This isn't just...
So this is Phoebe's cousin who's speaking now. And yeah, I mean, what could possibly have happened? Was Phoebe lured there, deliberately because they thought they were going to do something to her? I really have got these Fred and Rose West vibes from this couple. Or was it just some terrible accident? The police think they've got a motive. He'll say this later, but we don't know where it is yet.
Some clickbait story.
3 weeks is too long for us as a family.
Basically, we're still on the side of Pheobe Bishop.
Both of the accused were arrested in the Bundaberg area yesterday evening.
This is a pain no person or family should ever have to experience.
I don't know anybody in Bundaberg that hasn't been affected by this.
Gingin, Queensland, a tiny town along the Bruce Highway west of Bundaberg. This is actually my hometown, a usually peaceful place, now at the centre.
Oh, so it's the reporter's hometown, and a very interesting name, Gingin.
Of a murder case gripping the nation. Under the cover of darkness, at 8 o'clock last night, police seized the car at the centre of the investigation once again. Meanwhile, at Bundaberg Police Station, Phoebe Bishop's housemates, James Wood and Tanika Bromley, were being charged with her murder and interfering with her body.
We do have information that would suggest some form of motivation. We will allege that Phoebe was moved more than once.
Detective Inspector Craig Mans.
Moved more than once, so yeah, definitely they feel that she was moved more than once, and they feel they've got some motivation. Of course, they've got all the information that we haven't got.
Field confirming police from the Child Protection and Homicide Investigation Units made the arrests.
We were satisfied after the review of the culmination of the information and evidence that we collected over that 3-week period that we were in a position then to make that arrest.
Even though as a family we did kind of...
So it took them quite a while to arrest this couple, and of course they did arrest them and release them. And James Woods, I think he was arrested twice and released. But initially they did charge them with weapons charges because they've got illegal weapons. They did find illegal weapons, but they were released on bail over those charges. And then just literally the other day, a couple of days before being finally arrested and charged, James was arrested and released. So they've obviously been gathering evidence, and then they got to a point they had the evidence they needed. They arrested the pair, and then shortly after that, they found Phoebe's remains.
Settle that, the worst possibility might have happened. There was still that glimmer of hope that, maybe she's out there hiding.
Whitney Woodfield is Phoebe's cousin. Here she is celebrating New Year's Eve with Tanika Bromley.
Imagine that, it's bad enough when your loved one is murdered by anyone, but imagine finding out that the person that's been charged with murdering your loved one is somebody you were out having a good time with on New Year's Eve, somebody you know, somebody trusted. I think that's the worst thing of all, isn't it? This woman, Tanika, she was in the confidence of Phoebe and the rest of the family. She was out partying with them, she knew them. I think that's the worst kind of betrayal, isn't it? It's bad enough, as I say, if your loved one's abducted by a stranger, but to find out that the person who's charged with killing your loved one is somebody you went out and had a good time with on New Year's Eve and you didn't know. It's the devil you know, isn't it? It's the devil you know. It's like you just don't know what's going, because this woman, whether she killed Phoebe or not, she certainly helped that man to cover up for it. That's irrefutable. So, maybe she wasn't the one that actually killed her, though I just get this real feeling about this couple. I don't know. It's like something really evil here, and it makes you wonder, is there more to come out about maybe other victims, maybe not victims who became who were murdered like Phoebe was, but maybe other victims that were vulnerable young girls that maybe something, well, time will tell whether there's any more. But this couple are in their 30s. How long have they been together? You know, I don't know. I'm not sure. So is it James's influence on Tanika that has led to this awful tragedy, or is Tanika, you know, just bad as well? Who knows? But yeah, it's like the devil, you know, it seems to be worse, doesn't it? Someone you know, somebody you cared about, you know, you went out with, you probably had confidences with, turns out it's them that's accused of killing your loved one. It just must be awful. It's like a viper in the nest. She's a viper in the nest, isn't she?
Here she is celebrating New Year's Eve with Tanika Bromley. They all work together at Phoebe's mum's business, Smiley Support Services.
Yeah, Smiley Support Services. So you've got the cousin in the back here, you've got Tanika here, and poor Phoebe here. All knew each other. How awful.
We were very close, like we had very close connections. I've only known James probably for a short time through Tanika. Tanika I knew through family. Admittedly, we did work together.
And how is Phoebe's mum, Kylie, holding up?
As you can imagine, not doing the best, which can't expect anything else, really.
This evening, police have declared a crime scene where they've discovered human remains at a national park near Bundaberg. Her heartbroken family, including mother Kylie Johnson, just wants to bring her home.
I at least need to know where she's resting. I need to know where Phoebe is.
If we do locate Phoebe, we'll expect to find further evidence to support our brief of evidence.
Today, Phoebe's sister, Kaylee, showed up at Bundaberg Courthouse where the housemates formally faced charges.
Do you mind if we ask how you're holding up?
So they're very alike, aren't they? Her and her sister, and you know, as I've said, sort of seeing her sister talk, you get a more of an idea of how Phoebe was. Just awful, isn't it? You know, I don't know how that would feel. You know, this is it, the ripples that go out, doesn't it? Someone's a victim, Phoebe's the victim. But these people that are left behind, if you like, her loved ones, her sister, her mum, etc., all her family, they're going to be paying a life sentence now. The victim's family and loved ones always serve a life sentence, don't they? Whatever happens to the perpetrator. You know, it's not something that you'd ever get over, is it? You can't get over it. You just learn to cope with it.
As best as can be, I guess. We just want a home. And yeah, she was loved. She's missed.
And locals like Mandy, who have been following the case, came along to offer support.
Very, very angry, very emotional, very sad. And I see her face every step in the main street. It slaps you in the face everywhere in Bundaberg.
Phoebe had been living out of home.
So it's amazing in these small communities, as I was saying earlier, you know, how these sort of things, people do get invested, you know, even though that woman, she didn't know Phoebe personally. But, you know, I think sometimes these kind of cases, they strike a chord with people, not just because it's a young girl, obviously, a young, vulnerable girl, but also maybe something in your life. So I think the cases that we get most invested in, anyway, this is how it is for me, are cases that sort of, you know, resonate with you, maybe because of something that's happened to you at some point, or something that's happened to someone you know, or, you know, there's normally a reason why a case resonates with you so specifically. And that lady, obviously, I don't know that lady, who knows, but you don't know if maybe she went through something when she was young, and this case has sort of brought it all back to her. You know, these are the kind of things that happen, isn't it? So Phoebe's case has touched, you know, a lot of people, and it should do. But, you know, not all cases of 17-year-olds that go missing do. attract so much attention, but this one has. Look at the state of this house, you know. Gosh, that I do feel, honestly, and I know I've said it earlier and I mean it, if you're a landlord or a landlady, go and inspect your properties. Imagine not knowing that your property had just been, look, there's just crap everywhere. There's bin bags. Is that a fridge there? Is that a fridge just out in the garden? Just rubbish everywhere. As I said, there were dead dogs. Disgusting place.
This Gin property with her housemates James Wood and Tanika Bromley. May 15, Phoebe is booked on a flight to go visit her boyfriend in Perth. Police allege her housemates told them they dropped her near the airport. Her last phone call is allegedly at 8:30 a.m. to her boyfriend ahead of the flight, but she never boards the plane. She hasn't been heard from since, and CCTV from the airport suggests she never made it inside the terminal. May 25, 10 days after her disappearance, police arrest and charge housemate Tanika with unrelated offences involving
Yeah, so they found weapons in her car, didn't they? A sawn-off shotgun. Who has a sawn-off shotgun, for God's sake? Why would you even have one? You know, just don't, unless you were a blooming crime mafia boss or something. What on earth would you have a sawn-off shotgun for? So yeah, it seems like they did drive to the airport, but there's no CCTV of her entering the airport. Phoebe did not enter the airport. And in fact, I believe that's probably what happened is they drove to the airport to make it look as if they took Phoebe to the airport. They said they dropped her off near the airport, and what they'll be trying to say is something must have happened to her, you know, after she got out of the car. But of course, now she's been found in that sort of park, and there'll be data evidence to show that the car went there or the phones went there. So, you know, it's pretty much a slam dunk in that case. But we'll see, you know, then what they're going to do, say it was manslaughter, they're going to come up with some story, aren't they? So we'll see what story they come up with.
Weapons, which they found inside the car at the centre of the investigation.
Our evidence will outline the fact that that 3 people arrived near to the airport, and 3 people never exited that vehicle.
Tanika, where's Phoebe? Did you drop her off at the airport?
Tanika gets bail.
She looks different on there, doesn't she? She's got blonde hair now, so she does look different.
And a court orders she and James Wood have no contact with one another.
So here's James, the lovely James, the fragrant James. Yeah. And, you know, you can see he's a big guy. And the other girl, Tanika, she's a big woman. And poor Phoebe, she was very sort of slight, wasn't she, and petite. So she wouldn't have had a chance, would she, against these 2? That's for sure.
Do you have any comments on the disappearance of Phoebe at all?
James is also charged with unrelated weapons offences and is brought in for questioning about Phoebe's disappearance on Wednesday, but is later released without charge. The very next day, current affairs cameras spot the car he'd been sleeping in. Then,
so yeah, he was been sleeping in the car, and they sort of snuck up and took some video. Let's have another look.
As cameras spot the car he'd been sleeping in. Then later that night, it's seized as police announce a breakthrough.
And he's been frequenting that vehicle to and from. He's been effectively living out of it from time to time.
Yeah, because when they were arrested the first time and released on bail for these weapons charges, that Tanika was forbidden to contact him. They were told, well, they were probably told not to contact each other. And, you know, a lot of people said, oh, why were they released? But, of course, you know, I think they were released because in the hope the police would have been hoping, because they hadn't found Phoebe then, had they? So they were hoping that they would in one way or another lead them to Phoebe's remains, weren't they? Either by, virtue of phone data or the car or something. So I think the police have been very clever here. They really have. They've waited. They've put pressure on them, but they've waited until they have enough to charge them. So they don't want to charge them and then they have to let them go, or, the whole case goes wrong or whatever. So I think the police have done a very good job here. I know it took them quite a long time to find Phoebe, but it's a bloody miracle she was ever found.
That will form part of our investigation. We've only just seized it late last night, so some more forensic examinations of that vehicle are yet to be made.
Over the last...
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, so nice. So this is obviously some sort of TikTok video or whatever that's emerged. God. I think there's probably going to be, I think I might stick my neck out here and say I think drugs might be included in this event.
3 weeks, James Wood had been spotted by locals like Mandy living in his car. He's now behind...
Somebody's took a picture of him asleep in the car. He's got his dog with him. Poor dog.
Like Mandy living in his car. He's now behind...
Look at the dog. I hope the dog's being looked after. God. I wonder why he was living in his car. He must have been told not to go there. I suppose the house was being treated as some sort of crime scene. Maybe both of them couldn't go back to the house. Looks like he didn't have anywhere to go, so it was just him and his dog. I hope his dog's okay.
Behind bars, he's mustering days on hold as he faces a murder charge.
Yeah, what's muster? So I saw this earlier and I thought, I'm not sure what... So... UT Muster winner 2017. I don't know what muster is. So a UTE muster is a type of festival in Australia and New Zealand that celebrates utes, which are utility vehicles, and the culture surrounding them. These events typically involve large parades of utes, competitions, live music, and other activities. So there you go, learned something new there. These are often held in rural or regional areas, reflecting the traditional use of utes in these regions. So they are a celebration of Australian and New Zealand culture, particularly country life and the practical nature of the ute. And they normally offer live music, competitions, other activities. Even sometimes holding Guinness World Records for the largest ute parade. So apparently the Denai Ute Muster in Denilquin, New South Wales. Gosh, this is like, completely new to me, all this. I've never heard of it. Had you all heard of that? A Ute Muster? Probably those of you that are maybe in that area might have done. So he won it in 2017. He won the Ute Muster. Okay.
He's on hold as he faces a murder charge with his partner Tanika.
We still are hoping that if anyone has any further information around the Airport Drive area, anything that they observed, any dash cam that they may possess, that they do contact us.
If you've got any information about Phoebe or the car or anything like that, just come forward.
How do you want her to be remembered?
It's like the beautiful soul she was, loyal, very fierce.
It will not be over for me until we find Phoebe.
And the remains found in the National Park late today will now undergo forensic testing. Her family knows, and our thoughts are with them tonight.
So it's important to say they haven't been formally, confirmed yet, but the police, obviously, they're not going to release all that information unless they're 100% certain, that it is Phoebe, sadly. So I'm just having another little Google. About this muster. Yeah, I just thought something might come up. Anyway, let me just try one more thing. Yeah. No, nothing's coming up about the Oot, about James Woods winning the Oot competition. So anyway, I thought I'd just give you this update. I think we've all become invested in Phoebe's case. Phoebe, I hope you're at peace. I really do now you've been found. These people, justice is justice for Phoebe. These people, they've got to account for what they've done. Taking the life of a 17-year-old girl, a vulnerable 17-year-old girl. There's not much fouler than that. And a girl, that they knew, or certainly Tanika knew her. Phoebe put her trust in Tanika. And that's just worse than anything, isn't it? Someone who trusts you thinks probably gone there because she thought she could feel safe there, and obviously she couldn't stand being there, and she was going off. It's a shame she didn't go to her boyfriend's first, wasn't it? go over to her boyfriend's instead of, unfortunately, spending some time with these people. And you could imagine maybe Tanika invited her to come and stay. Fly free, Phoebe. Just happens too often, this, doesn't it? Vulnerable people like children, old people, young adults like this, they're all so vulnerable. Just seems even worse then to be betrayed by somebody that you actually knew and you should have been able to trust. That's even worse than just being sort of snatched or, because unfortunately as well, even though you might trust like the person, it's the partner as well, isn't it? Either way, that can work. Sometimes these vulnerable people, maybe she trusted Tanika, but then maybe she didn't know much about James. I think there's a lot more to come out about this. I don't think this will be the first time that this couple, or certainly not him, has maybe ever done anything wrong. Okay, so any updates I get, I will let you know. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for caring about Phoebe. Please subscribe and don't forget to press notifications, and that way you'll get updates on this case or any other case that we're covering. I'll see you really soon in the next video. And until then, as always, may your God go with you. Bye.